Hello. Hi, everybody. Happy Friday to you. Hey, hello, Destination Body. Hello, Laura. Thank you for joining. We are live on Instagram. We're live on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, give me a quick hello. Tell me where you're from. If you're on joining on Instagram, please post here. Cyber Investor Florida has how many properties now? Yeah, we're always growing. We're always growing. Happy Friday. Hey, Kaylee. Thank you for dropping a hi. If you're on Facebook, please drop me a quick hello. Tell me where you're from. Today we have a very exciting session coming up. Ashley, hello from Hartford, Connecticut. NY Angelie start joining from Stamford as well. Hello, welcome. So today we have an exciting session. So what we're going to talk about today is productivity and time, how to make the most of your time. And this is this is my pet peeves, and this topic is near and dear to my heart because all of our lives are so busy with everything that we have going on at work, at home. If you guys have kids, you know how busy that can get. Hello from Johannesburg. Wow. Hi, welcome. And it's a busy life for all of us, right? And a question that we get so often is with a busy life that we all have, how do we invest in real estate? How do we find the time to build wealth? Right, and that's such an important question that we get a lot. And today we're going to talk all about that. So it's going to be a great session. As I'm going through this, please type in the chat where you're joining from. And as I'm going through all the content we're going to cover today, please post in the chat, whether you're on Instagram or Facebook, any questions, right, about productivity, time. And I'd be happy to answer. In fact, I want to make this as interactive, so please ask as many questions as you can. So as I said, this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart because, about 5 years back, just to give you a quick paint the picture for you real quick. So 5 years back, Palak and I were both busy professionals, right? So we had full-time jobs. Hello, Daniel from LA. We had busy full-time jobs, and we had two really young kids, right? We had a 2-year-old and a newborn. And we were like, how, we finally realized that we were about in our mid-30s, and we had followed the right sort of trajectory that society tells you to, right? We got a good education, we got a good job, and we were climbing up the ladder. And what we realized we were nowhere close to having the kind of life that we wanted, where we would have wealth, where we could spend as much time as we wanted with our kids whenever we wanted. And so we're like, something has to change. And with 2 busy careers and 2 really young kids, we had to figure out how to manage our time to be able to do well in our jobs, so continue that income, spend time with our kids, but also spend time in our own personal growth, spend time in building the business that we wanted to build. Right. And fast forward 4 or 5 years, I think most of you know, like Palak and I both quit our jobs. We do real estate full times. Every year we buy, real estate worth $2 or $3 million to grow our portfolio. And that's all because we figured out how to manage and hack our time. So today we're going to talk about that. As you have any questions, please drop in the chat. And thank you for saying hello, everyone. And happy to have you guys. So let me get started with the very first. So I'm gonna share 10 tips that are gonna help you guys, figure out how you can sort of make the time to be able to invest in real estate, right? So it's gonna be 10 tips. Now, I'm a big believer in less is more. So even if you find one tip that helps you, that you can implement, pick that. So just look for that one nugget in the entire next half an hour, 45 minutes that we're going to spend together. Just pick one thing that you can, implement in your life, and that would be great. So let me get started. So tip number 1 is perspective, right? Time is the most valuable resource that we have. So a lot of people are like, yeah, I want to, earn money and I want to do all these things. That's great, but quite often we forget that time is much more valuable than money. And for that, you have to realize the importance of just every single minute that you have in a day. So back again, like when we were in our mid-20s, just getting a job out of college, we were like, oh, we're so busy because no matter how much time you have and everybody has the same 24 hours, we used to fill it up with stuff, right? So our time just got used up. And back then, with no kids and just early on our career, we were like, yeah, life is so busy, I don't have time. And when we have kids, when we had 2 kids, we used to think and laugh about like, what were we thinking? We had so much time on our hands. For us to say back then that we were so busy, it was just ridiculous because we just had so much more time than we realized. And all of us do, right? There's people who run 3 or 4 or 5 companies, and they have the same 24 hours in a day. So number one is realizing that time is money, and you got to figure out how you're spending your time. So that's number one. Number 2 is people are always like, oh, let me create a to-do list to get more productive. Let me find a productivity hack that'll allow me to do more things in a day. And that's absolutely the wrong way to go about it. I would not recommend that. Where you want to start from is figuring out what your vision is for your life. And we've done a live on this. If you're in the Facebook group, Real Estate Investing for Busy Professionals, check that out. It should be in the guide section. We did a live on how do you craft a vision for your life? How do you build goals around that vision, right? And that's step number 1. If you start building to-do lists, guess what? You're going to come up with 10 things that don't align with necessarily where you're trying to go. And that happens to all of us. We've been conditioned through society and through working in our 9-to-5 that people just give us a to-do list like, hey, why don't you get this stuff done? And that's what we kind of do, a checklist. And no surprises that I was 35 and still nowhere close to attaining my goals or my vision in life, because everything that was on my to-do list didn't align with where I was trying to go. Right. So step number 1 is figuring out what your vision is for your life. Step number 2, create goals. So if your vision is essentially the destination that you're trying to go to, and goals are the GPS that are going to get you there, right? So every time you use your goals to figure out, are you headed in the right direction? So craft your vision, craft your goals, and then once you have your goals and you're creating what you're going to do this week or this day, say no to everything that doesn't align with the goals, right? So instead of starting with the to-do list, start with the vision, craft your goals, and then figure out what you're doing every week, whether that aligns with the vision, whether that aligns with the goals or not. And if it doesn't, say no to it, right? And that's actually leads me to my 3rd tip, which is thank you, Cyber Investor Florida. Appreciate that. If you have any takeaways, please post in the chat, guys. Another tip is use your calendar. Right. A lot of people are big on creating like an 8 or 10 things that I need to do today. It has never worked for me. It doesn't work for most people because if you've probably already noticed, you barely get 2 or 3 things done in a day, and then other things come up and you get distracted. So start using your calendar. So I live and die by my calendar, right? If it's not on my calendar, it's not getting done. If it is on my calendar, I make sure that time is dedicated to what I'm going to do, right? And so what happens is that if you have a 9-to-5 job, guess what? You have a calendar at work, right? And your calendar is essentially other people's demands of your time. That's what your calendar is a lot of times, right? At least at work. And then most people have a personal calendar where all they use their personal calendar for is planning vacations and planning family time, which is great. But where's the wealth calendar? Where's a calendar that you set aside time for yourself to create wealth for you and your family? And most of us don't do that, right? So if it's not on the calendar, it's not getting done. And one thing that I did like 4 or 5 years back when we were getting started is spend at least 3 to 5 hours a week dedicated to creating wealth. And depends on where you are in your real estate journey, right? If you are just starting out, figure out what your strategy is, right? Spend 3 to 5 hours a week trying to figure out, what you're going to do this week. Like, what your strategy is to figure out where you're going to go. If you have 1 or 2 properties, figure out how you're going to scale, right? Dedicate time, 3 to 5 hours of each week, just for your wealth, creating wealth for you and your family. And use your calendar to do it. If it's not on your calendar, it's not going to get done. And treat your calendar, like it's very sacred, especially things that are just for you, right? Most of the times we just do stuff for other people that are on our calendar. Set aside time for yourself that you're going to spend for your wealth building. Next point that I want to make is, which I think all of you will relate with, is procrastination. Right. And of course, all of us have been through it, right? Like, I procrastinate about stuff all the time. Hi, Lies, welcome. I procrastinate all the time, or, on certain things. And I used to procrastinate about wealth. And now there's some other things that I still procrastinate about. But guess what? That is how procrastination is how we self-sabotage ourselves, right? That's the way that we don't achieve our goals. And so one of the strongest ways to form a habit is to do something for every day for a few minutes at a time, right? So when for example, if you're starting to work out and you're like, I wanna start working out, and this is based on all the books that are out there, right? Like, this is a very commonly accepted way of building habits, and it's proven by science, is that you do something consistently every day, even if it's for 10 minutes. So if you want to work out, just say that I'm going to work out for 10 minutes a day, every day. No matter what happens, I'm going to put on my shoes and work out for 10 minutes, and that's it. And then stop. If you feel like you want to stop after 10 minutes, you can stop, but just do it every day. That's how you form a habit, and that's how you get over procrastination, right? But even to do that, you have to make the decision that you want to do that, right? That you want to build wealth. So that's why, again, it all starts with crafting a vision, crafting your goals, and then forming a habit around what you need to do every day to be able to get there, right? So that's how you get over procrastination. Any thoughts, guys? Please. So there's a question here. Could you give us an example of a typical day managing kids in business and alternating roles with Palak? That's a great question. So, we and my day may look a little bit different from somebody else's, because we're both in the business full time, and you may full time be in your full time job right now with a plan to quit later on. Doesn't matter. So the way we manage our business is, first we prioritized before we start doing stuff. We like, before the week, Friday is the day for me. Right. So Friday is the day for me when I don't do a lot of stuff. So this is one of the only meetings that I have today. And then I'm going to spend the rest of my time figuring out what my goals are for next week, what I want to do. So that's same with Palak, right? So we've kind of prioritized for our business what needs to happen next week. And then we kind of say, all right, what's she going to accomplish? What am I going to accomplish? And then we kind of divide and conquer depending on what our strengths are. And there's a separate, I think this could also be its own sort of coffee talk, because there's a lot to be discussed there of, if you're investing together with a partner or your husband or wife, how do you do that in a way that complements each other, right? You want to use the skills, you want to use your strengths versus your partner's strengths, and divide and conquer that way. So Friday is the day for us where we kind of say, all right, what are we going to do next week? And then our priority is kids and health, right? So no matter what happens, business is secondary. First, and that's why, honestly, like, that's why we quit our jobs. We quit our jobs because we wanted to be with our kids, right? That was always our first priority. So kids come first, but yes, we do it in a way that the business continues, and you figure it out, right? You'll try a few different things and see what works for you. But for us, it's about prioritizing. It's about dividing and conquering. So that's kind of how we would typically spend our day. And then Monday through Thursday is just execution. We go crazy. And then I'm going to talk about one more thing. That's one of my tips, is spending at least a day a week, not in your business, but focusing on your business, right? How just kind of looking at things that are working well, looking at things that don't, and then fixing them. So we spend at least 1 day a week doing that. So I'll get to that in a minute. But that's a great question. Keep the questions coming, guys. Anything around time management, productivity. I love this because honestly, that's one of the biggest reasons we were able to do what we did with 2 busy jobs, with 2 young kids in less than 3 years. My next tip is around distractions, right? So we live in a frenzied world where there's just so many distractions, right? I'll give you an example. Like my phone just rings every 5 minutes, right? And I'm sure you get emails, you get text messages, you get Messenger, all sorts of stuff. And you've probably heard this, that every time you get a message, you get a dopamine hit, right? And so we want to check our messages the moment it rings, or even if it buzzes. It's like a dopamine hit that we get when we look at our phone. And what that does is it derails you from what your task was that you're trying to accomplish. So one of my hacks for that is I turn off notifications on my phone. I turn it off. So I turn off email notifications, Messenger, text, and I check it every hour or every 2 hours whenever I want to, whenever I'm like, okay, now it's time to check my phone, but I don't let my phone interrupt me. It's just so important to cut out the distractions, especially when you've set aside 2 or 3 or 4 hours a day, that's your focus time. Don't let anything distract you. Another question on Facebook, guys, on Instagram as well. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to post. So the question is, do you use any tool, productivity, Trello, to prioritize daily tasks behind your calendar? You know what? We use Trello for projects, just to, it's more as a stream of consciousness kind of stuff. Like if you have ideas, we put it in a Trello board and organize it by different topics. But guess what? I don't use any productivity tools. You know why? Because I know for that day, I'm just going to accomplish 2 or 3 things. That's my goal at any given point of time. Just accomplish 2 or 3 things. And if I don't get to anything else, I don't care. Because, but here's the catch though, right? Those 2 or 3 things have to be impactful for your business, and they need to be urgent, right? So those are the 2 parameters that I use. So one, it's impactful in that it's going to give me results for my business, and rather, it is urgent. If it is impactful but not urgent, I can do it next week. If it is urgent but not important, why would I ever do it? Right? Unless, of course, it's like things like paying the bills and all that. Sure, you want to set aside some time, an hour a week to do that. Sure, get that out of the way. But if something is not impactful and urgent, it's not on my list. So what's on my list is anything that is impactful and urgent. Those are the 2 or 3 things that I'm going to do today. Everything else can wait. And when you have that, when you start with just that kind of clarity and there's no clutter, you become very efficient at prioritizing, and you don't feel like you need to get through 20 different things in your to-do list and feel that overwhelmed. And I know that if I do those 2 or 3 tasks, I'm going to be good. And then I can literally stop working if I want. But then I can be like, all right, what else do I want to accomplish? That's, again, super impactful and urgent that needs to get done. So that's one of the tips I would share. Another one is, hopefully this is helping, guys. So please, if this is helpful, please post in the chat. Yes, just give me a simple yes. I know sometimes you watch on the smartphones and it's hard to kind of type long messages. Just say yes if this is making sense. If you have any questions, please post, whether you're on Instagram or Facebook. Another one is juggling fewer balls, right? This is another tip that I have for you. So we juggle so many things every day, right? We have our work life. Well, if you have a full-time job, you're juggling, 5 or 10 projects there. You obviously have, your home stuff going on, whether you're a parent or you have a partner, you have like 8 or 10 sort of balls that you're juggling there. And then for your personal life, whether it is, whatever it is that you like to do, your hobbies, your health, you're juggling that sort of stuff, right? So what I want to say is don't find a way to juggle more balls and do it more efficiently. No, let a few balls drop, right? Don't juggle so many balls. Like, I say no to so many things, and I know it's hard. It's hard to say no to things, right? When your partner wants you to do something, or when your kids are like, I want this, or whether your business needs something, or somebody on my team needs something at work, in my business, it's hard to say no, but you have to learn to say no. And again, it goes back to, is it impactful? Is it urgent? If no, I don't want to deal with it. And a lot of people are like, yeah, but how do you say, you don't want to say no to your partner, because they're like, you want to make sure that they're not being overburdened now because you're dropping some balls and they're left catching all the balls, right? He's talking about me. I love that. No, yeah, and this is all of us, right? This happens to all of us, and you don't want to be that person who drops these balls only for your partner to be like, why are you dropping this stuff? Because now I have to pick them up. Daniel's saying I learned that the hard way. I hear you. We all did, I think, to a certain extent. And here's how I've learned to kind of deal with the needs of your partner, right? Whether you're married or if you have a partner, you don't want to drop the balls only for them to be like, hey, now I have to do all this stuff. So what you want to do is, and Palak and I do this. So we basically come up with everything that she needs to do, that she's like, we drop our things that we both want to accomplish, right? And we start at a very, very high level. Again, it goes back to your vision, and it goes back to your goal. So for me, you should see our vision board. Like I basically say that, all right, for me, it's health number one, right? I want to be able to work out twice a day. I want to spend time with the kids, and I want to do this, and this for the business. And Palak has her same list, right? For her health, what she wants to do for the business, and how she wants to spend time with the kids. And the way it works is, I make sure that whatever's on Palak's list of things she wants to do, I make sure that I give her the time to do it, right? Because if I don't make time, if she's like, I want to, go work out for an hour, and if I tell her, no, not right now because I'm doing something, I'm taking away from her. So I'm always like, what are your goals? Let me help you achieve your goals, and you can help me achieve mine. And sometimes it's just give something as simple as giving the other person the space that they need to, do whatever they need to do, right? So you want to help each other, but it's so important to talk about what your vision is, what your needs are with your partner, because as they say, you have to wear your own oxygen mask first, right? If you're not happy, if you're not fulfilled, if you're not getting the kind of satisfaction from achieving the things that you want to achieve in life, you're not going to be all you can be, not just in your life but also in your relationship. So it's this is basically why you want to have that very clear understanding of, look, this is what my needs are, if you're in a relationship, and have your partner kind of tell you what they want in life and help each other out, right? So that's huge. And then once Palak understands what my vision is and what I want in life, and she asks me to do something, and I can be like, you know what, look, these are my goals, it doesn't match with that, is it okay if I don't do it? And then she gets it. And it's the same way, right? Like, I'm not going to ask her to do things that don't fit in her vision, because that's not what she wants. So hopefully this is making sense. Thank you, Cyber Investor Florida. Powerful message. Appreciate that. Somebody saying, if you can see this, can you please give Maris, Kylene, Stephanie, Tracy, and Liza a shout out? They're amazing grads in here. Hey guys, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. So yeah, our amazing grads are listening as well. Thank you guys. So hopefully this is helping. Another tip, and again, I said this at the beginning, if you guys missed it, even if one of this tip, just take one takeaway from this, right? It doesn't have to be everything I'm saying. Just take one thing and implement it, because hopefully that'll help you, get the time that you're looking for. Another thing that I was going to say is the 80-20 rule, right? So you guys have heard about this before, the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. When you think of time management, one of the things that you should be looking at every task that you do. And by the way, a lot of us don't necessarily realize everything that we do on a daily basis, right? We kind of do it just because we're in the habit of doing stuff, but we never really keep track. So if you don't have a clear idea of what you're doing every day, you're like, yeah, I work, but I don't know what I'm getting done. Keep a diary, like start a diary for a week. All you have to do it for a week, where you write down at the end of the day what you did and for how many minutes. And there's probably apps out there for this today that you can download that you kind of like, from this time to this time I did this, right? Do it for a week. And that'll give you a sense of how you're spending your time every week. And then kind of be like, all right, what are the kind of tasks that I'm doing? And split them into 3 buckets, right? So look at every task that you're doing, split it into 3 big buckets. One is tasks that are like 10 or $15 tasks, $15 an hour tasks. The other is maybe $200 to $300 tasks. And then third bucket is $1,000+ tasks, right? Daniel is saying, why is it hard to say our vision out loud? Sometimes it's hard to describe out loud. Yes, absolutely. And the vision, as you're creating, we did a live on this in the Facebook group. So go check it. If you're on Instagram, we have a Facebook group called Real Estate Investing for Busy Professionals. Check it out. We did a live where we talk about how to craft that vision. So do listen to that. But as you have your tasks that you do every week, bucket them into 3 different buckets, right? So $10 tasks, $100, $200 tasks, $1,000 tasks. And what you want to do, obviously, is eliminate the $10 or $15 tasks and work on the $1,000+ tasks, right? So I'll give you an example. For me, anything that's to do around the house or running errands, those are tasks that I can outsource. These days, you can order groceries online. It's amazing. Like somebody comes and delivers it to your door. And I'm happy to pay that because my time is better spent on looking at a deal that's going to make me $100,000 in the next few years, right? So an hour that I spend in finding a good deal is worth a lot more to me than doing like a task, unless that task gives you pleasure. Like some people are like I like to mow the lawn because I love the experience and it gives me time to spend just thinking, and that's great. If it gives you pleasure, do it. But if it's a pain for you and if it's easy to outsource, do it, right? That's the 80-20 rule. So the 80-20 rule is it's proven that 20% of the things that you do give you 80% of the results, right? So you want to figure out what those 20% of the things are, and outsource everything else. As simple as that. And either outsource it or just eliminate it if you can. So that's the 80-20 rule. Hopefully that makes sense. Another tip that I would offer is theming your days. And I think somebody asked a question about this, which is, the way we kind of think about it, Palak and I both do this, is we theme our days, right? So we say, okay, Monday is a day for all the stuff that we couldn't do over the weekend. We have teams, so you want to give them directions as to what they're going to do this week. So we do that. We do some bill payment on Mondays, all the smaller little tasks that we can get out of the way on Monday. So we do that. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're all focused in the business. We're like, all right, doing the operations, looking at deals, looking at the rehab project, see how it's going, and all that stuff. That's what we spend, most of the week doing. And then Friday, as I said, we take as little meetings as possible, and then we focus on what can we do better, right? What can we improve? What can we fix? What can we do more of? And you want that time. And that's the last thing I want to talk about. And it's probably the most powerful thing in my opinion. But please post, if this is making sense, guys, please put a yes, please put your takeaways in there. This to me is until I figured it out, it just kind of changed my complete attitude, right? So take time off. And that's why we have one day a week where we literally don't do anything in the business. We just kind of take time to reflect what's working, what's not working. Even if we come up with ideas, we don't implement it on Friday. We wait until Monday or Tuesday to do it, because Friday is sacred. It's about how do you figure out what needs to get done. And I'll share a quick story. So I was watching this documentary the other day about the Egyptian civilization, right? So the Egyptian civilization existed, as most of you guys read in your history books, is about 4,500, almost 5,000 years ago, right? And they're one of the smartest civilizations to ever exist. Their knowledge of mathematics, geometry, architecture, engineering, astronomy is amazing. The structures they build, like the Great Pyramid of Giza, engineers and architects today say that it'll be hard for them to do it today with the computers that we have, the machinery that we have, with the same level of precision that the Egyptians did. So, and what's interesting is that the way the Egyptians kind of lived their life was 9 months in a year, they were kind of implementing, right? They were kind of either farming, or they're building all these cool structures and building their cities and all that stuff, the day-to-day life. 3 months in a year, there used to be, at that time, the River Nile used to flood the main the town and everything. So the Nile used to rain so much, River Nile used to flood everything. And so what they had to do for 3 months in a year is go on top of a mountain or a hill and live there for 3 months just to seek refuge from the water, right? And those 3 months, they couldn't really do anything because they're on top of a rock for 3 months. And they're like, what do we do? And guess how they spent those 3 months? They spent those 3 months educating themselves. They spent their 3 months learning about astronomy, learning about mathematics, figuring out the problems that they had in the 9 months in the year, and figuring out how they could fix that, right? So they had 3 months to come up with all these amazing solutions. And that's why they came up with, they did architectural projects, they did all this stuff that we couldn't even replicate today with knowledge that they had at the time. That's how much knowledge they had just by spending those 3 months in learning all that stuff. Now, I'm not saying all of us have 3 months to take off, right? But that's why you got to do it every week. Spend a little bit of time, even if it's 2 or 3 hours a week. Spend that time on figuring out what your next step is. What are you going to do? If you're just starting out in real estate, figure out what your strategy is. Figure out what your next step is. Where are you going to go? If you're already like 1 or 2 properties, 3 properties plus, figure out what your next step is. Use a few hours a week dedicated to how you can improve your current business, and just reflecting on that. So hopefully this helped, guys. And one final tip, it's a bonus tip, is if you're a busy professional, we all sabotage ourselves by telling ourselves that we don't have the time to do something. Wealth building shouldn't be an option. A lot of times we leave that as, we'll do it 6 months from now because, the economy is kind of heated, and maybe I'll wait 6 months when there's more deals, or, maybe I'll do it in 6 months because I have an event coming up and really I don't have the time. And all I'm going to say is if we can do it with 2 really busy careers, with 2 really young kids, anybody can do this. And by the way, there is no perfect time to build wealth. You need to decide and start now, even if it's a small step that you can take. And guess what? If you're a busy professional and you don't have the time to learn a strategy, find a mentor, find somebody who can teach you that, right? And you don't have to come to us. Like, whatever your strategy is, figure out there's somebody out there who can teach you that. And it'll save you 1 or 2 or 3 years of your time if you just learn from somebody, right? So figure out what it is you want to do, figure out your strategy. And by the way, if you're trying to figure out your real estate strategy, we did a live on that too. It's in the Facebook group. So if you're trying to figure out, wait, what should my real estate strategy be? We did a live on that. It's in the Real Estate Investing for Busy Professionals Facebook group. Check it out. It should be in the guide section over there. But hopefully this will helpful, guys. Thank you for all the amazing comments. And even if you're listening to a replay of this, just put a hashtag replay at the end so I know you were here. Ask questions. And actually, there's a question right here. Shweta is asking, should we worry about Biden's tax plan for real estate? Are we just getting started? And would love to hear from on that front. Awesome question. And can I just say that, I don't know, it's kind of the line of the day today, but I did a live on this, I think a couple of weeks back in the same Facebook group around the economy and is it a good time to invest? So I did a 40-minute live, so please go listen to that. I'll summarize that for you here, which is that, look, it is, right now what's happening is the home prices are rising, obviously, as everybody knows, and there's a couple of reasons for that, right? So there's, on the demand side, there's super low, historically low interest rates, right? And then there is all the stimulus money, right? And there you go. So there's historically low interest rates. There is all this money, the stimulus money that's the market. Stock market's doing really well. So there is a lot of money in the market right now. So demand is really, really high. And on the supply side, there is a shortage of inventory, right? Because the houses you can't keep up with how much the demand is. So that's why we're seeing a lot of the high prices, the crazy markets that you are seeing. But I've listened to hundreds of economists at this point to try and figure this out. But from what I've heard, there is no bubble in the market, right? Yes, prices are going up, but they will continue to go up in the near future, partly because of the interest rates and partly because of the stimulus money that's going to come, and partly because of the inventory. There is no technology that exists today that can suddenly create 300,000 more homes in the market. It's just not there, right? So unless something miraculous happens where there's like hundreds of thousands of new homes in the market, it's hard to see this market going on. And guess what? Back in 2015, 2016, when we started investing, people were like, yeah, we've had a 7-8 year bull run. The market's going to go down. It didn't, right? And we've built a $6 million portfolio. And by the way, the power of buy and hold investing is that you're not, if you're doing flips, sure, maybe you should worry about if the market goes down. If you're doing buy and hold investing, it does not matter because you're investing for the long run, right? And I always give this example, and I'll give it here, which is, and by the way, we're in a very different market now than we were in 2008 when the crash happened, for the real estate crash, right? That crash happened for very, very specific reasons. Things like there was, these loans that were given out to the ninja loans, which were given without any sort of checks and balances. It was given to people with who couldn't afford the loans, and then there was these adjustable rate mortgages, which just went up dramatically after a couple of years, and people couldn't afford their payments anymore, and the market tanked. So those were very specific conditions to 2008. That's not what is happening in real estate right now. The loans we're seeing are good. But the example that I always give as a power of buy and hold investing, if you're like, is it a good time to invest? Let me share an example. So we bought a property in Chicago in 2008, March of 2008, just before the crash, just before the biggest crash in real estate in 2008. We bought a condo. Paula bought a condo. And she bought it for $125,000-ish. Within a few months after the market tanked, the value came down to $85,000 for that property, right? It went from 125 to 85,000. Now you're like, oh my God, that's like the worst thing that can ever happen. But guess what? We rented that property for 12 years since then. In the last 12 years, we have made, just on that one property, we made about $30,000 in cash flow. It was rented for the entire 12 years, $30,000 in cash flow, another $40,000 in debt pay down, right? Because the mortgage is getting paid and it's paying down the debt. And it's appreciated to $145,000 now if you were to go and sell it. So we made another $20,000. So total, we made close to like $90,000 even when we bought it at the worst time in history to buy a house, right? And that's the power of buy and hold investing, because you're not buying for appreciation. You're buying for cash flow, and you're buying it for long-term appreciation, not short-term gain. And so the risks are a lot lower. So yes, absolutely. And by the way, another great reason to invest is inflation is around the corner, and I talk about that in the live. It's a deep topic. So please listen to that live that I did. Again, it's the Facebook group is called Real Estate Investing for Busy Professionals. If you go in the guide section, I talk about is it a good time to invest. So please listen to that. Another question here is how do you make that mental shift going from inactivity and strategizing to action? Fantastic question. So this is where it kind of goes to, you can plan and strategize all you want, but what happens is that when it actually comes time to taking action, especially in real estate, fear kicks in, right? You're like, oh, what if I make a bad decision? What if I invest in a bad deal? And those are all legitimate questions, which you can, by the way, solve for by getting good education in real estate. But that stuff comes up. What you want to do is two things. I think it's a twofold solution for me for this. One is you want to basically figure out what your why is, right? Why do you want to invest in real estate? And there's an exercise called 7 levels deep of why. So when you say, why do I want to invest in real estate? Well, because I want to create wealth. Okay, but why do you want to create wealth? Well, because so that my kids are okay, and I have enough saved up for my kids and they have a good life. Okay, but why do you want your kids to have a good life? And keep asking those questions. And when I asked myself that a few times, what I got to was the reason I want to do it. Yes, it's for my kids, but I want to do it because I want control over my own destiny. I don't want anybody telling me how I'm going to spend my time. I don't want anybody telling me when I can take vacation, how much I can see my kids. That was my why, right? And every time I went to work, and I joke with Palak about this, but there was days when I used to come back and tell her, you know what, and by the way, I love my job, but I still had days when I was like, I just don't want to do this. And that time, instead of telling myself that, oh, you know what, it's just a bad day, it'll be okay, I fueled myself by telling myself, why am I in this job? I need to quit for that reason. Connect yourself with that pain. A lot of times society tells us, oh, you know what, get over your pain. It's okay. Well, guess what? That's why people stay where they are, because society tells them to get over their pain. Don't get over your pain, change something, right? And so what you want to do is feel that pain and use that pain as fuel to take action every day. Because otherwise it's very easy to be like, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to take action a few months from now. And guess what? It's not happening. If you say the action is happening 6 months from now, you're not going to do it. It needs to happen today. It needs to start today, right? So figure out, and so that's step one, is like figuring out what your why is. That's going to propel you. And the second solution to that problem is, which I talked about earlier in this live, is make it a habit. Anytime you want to start a new habit of like, I just have to take action, spend 10 minutes on doing whatever it is you want to do, want to form a habit for. Just do 10 minutes every day for 3 months. Just 10 minutes. If you're looking to invest in real estate, say, I'm going to spend 10 minutes analyzing deals every day, or I'm going to spend 10 minutes trying to figure out, what my real estate goal is for 10 minutes every day. Do it for 10 minutes for 3 months, and it'll become a habit. And that's how you take action. That's how you create a habit, and it'll stick, because then it goes, and there's science behind it. You can check it. There's tons of YouTube videos around like why this works. But just do that. Like, make it a habit. Make it a part of your daily life, even if it's for a very short period of time every day. So hopefully this helped, guys. Thank you for that. Love that response. Feel the pain. Absolutely feel the pain. And Instagram saying, I want control over my own destiny. Yes. Ultimately, that's what we want. Like, we want to have complete control over. And I'll tell you, like, this is very close to my heart. When we had our son, and he was born, and he had to be in the hospital for like a couple of months. And I felt really guilty about taking time off from work. I got 2 weeks of paternity leave. 2 weeks. I mean, that's ridiculous. And I was like, I'm not letting anybody do that to me ever again. feel that pain, make it a part of, something that drives you. And so I think that's what helped me. So hopefully this helps, guys. Great session. Thank you so much for joining. And again, if you haven't checked out our free Facebook group, please go there. We have tons of more content there. It's called Real Estate Investing for Busy Professionals. We have an amazing program. If you choose to go down the value add investing route, we have an amazing 3-month program where we go in depth and we are comprehensive and teach you how to do that. So if you want to find out more about the program for Instagram, just DM us at Open Spaces Women. If you're on Facebook, just DM Palak and somebody from our team will get back to you. Thank you guys so much. This has been amazing. Thank you for the amazing questions, and we'll be back again next week. So we're going to do this every week. So if there's other topics that you want to cover, please let us know in the Facebook group and we'd love to cover that. Great to see everybody. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye-bye.